Welcome to another edition of Flea Market Fantasy, the world's second greatest Bronze Age era comic book podcast. Joining me as always is new Michael, Kevin Jank.
I'm here, Mike Dell, and I'll bet dollars to soggy sinkers that this is going to be a great episode.
Yeah, I don't know what that meant either.
No.
That's a quote from the comic book. Don't know what a soggy sinker is, or a soggy sinker, I should say. But anyway, today we'll be reading first issue special number 3 from 1975. And the reason I picked this issue is because it features Metamorpho, the Element Man.
Yeah. Dun, dun, dun.
Pretty exciting. We've never talked about Metamorpho on the show in 5 years. So this will be pretty good. But before we get into Metamorpho, let's remind everybody, if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. We're up to 230 subscribers. Picked up 2. And again, the goal is 500. Mm-hmm. So it's just around the corner.
We're slowly crawling our way there.
Let's try and make it happen. Also, let's remind everybody, Monkey Flip is now available on 19books.com and Amazon and in Kobo. It's available everywhere. Go to your bookstore and ask for it. They'll get it for you. But it's about a talking chimpanzee.
Go to a newsstand. I'm sure they have those still.
Yes. Monkey Flip. You'll love it. All right, so Jack, what do you know about Metamorpho?
Well, not a whole lot. I've seen the guy. I knew what he looked like. Other than that, that's about where it ends.
Yeah, I have a similar experience with Metamorpho. I thought when I was a kid, I thought he looked cool, and I never knew anything about him. I gathered that he could change his body into elements, but I didn't know his backstory or anything. So we're going to learn a lot today.
I didn't even know if I knew that at that point, because I just thought he was some kind of a shapeshifter, but I didn't know that he could. I didn't know the Element Man part of it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was aware of the Element Man.
Just heard Metamorpho.
It's very close to the Elephant Man, but that is something completely different. This is the Element Man.
Comic, it would be so much better.
So, and again, the reason why Metamorpho is in my head recently is because when I take my naps, as I like to do, I put on old radio shows or these old, they're called Power Records from the 70s, this record company that would make superhero record albums, basically radio shows on an album. And DC had one that I remember from when I was a kid, and Metamorpho is featured on the album. And he has his own theme song and everything. I was singing it for Jack before the show, but I won't sing it now. Because
come on, you're depriving the people.
Well, I sing like an angel, and we'd probably get a copyright strike because it would be so accurate. So can't do it. But if you YouTube up Metamorpho album or whatever, you'll find it. But all right, so Metamorpho. Hey, that was a preview of it right there. That's actually the song.
Yeah, you pay $1.99 on iTunes for the rest of it.
So this. No, I had to pick a first issue special because Metamorpho was around in the 60s and then he was gone for a while. And he was in some Justice League and stuff like that, but I wanted a Metamorpho story. So I picked first issue special number 3. And this was an anthology series published from April of 1975 to April of 1976. Ran for 13 issues, and each issue featured a different hero or concept or something. And technically, I guess it wasn't a tryout series. Like Jerry Conway I was reading him talking about it, and he said, basically Carmine Infantino thought that, the first issues of series, they always sell really well. Mm-hmm. So what we should do is just have an ongoing series of nothing but first issues.
Yeah.
But it
really trick people.
But it really wasn't to test the waters to see if this concept should get an ongoing series technically. Because Conway pointed out that when you do something like that, you usually give it at least 3 months at a crack, 3 or 4 months, so you can get like the sales numbers and stuff. Mm-hmm. So just doing it 1 month at a time, they had no idea what was good or what wasn't. They were just cranking them out.
At the end of this book, where Metamorpho was like, "Hey, yeah. I'll come back if you want it. Like, write letters."
Yes, he did do that at the end, and apparently no one wrote letters and no one cared because he didn't get picked up. The only 2 books got picked up out of first issue specials. One was Mike Grell's The Warlord, and that was in issue 8. I think that was like a Conan the Barbarian time. Remember, Mike L and I talked about it years ago. But do you know The Warlord at all?
I mean, I'm not super familiar, but yeah, it's one of those sword and sorcery type thing.
From what I remember, I think it was like a modern guy who got thrown back into I think.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
I think so. And then Jerry Conway and Denny O'Neil had Return of the New Gods, which is Jack Kirby's old New Gods, and that got a series, and they appeared in issue 13. Yeah. So that's first issue special. And Metamorpho the Element Man, real name Rex Mason. It's a good solid name.
Yeah.
And his first appearance was The Brave and the Bold, issue 57 from 1965. Created by Bob Haney and Ramona Fraden, and they are the creators of this here issue as well. So,
back.
Yep.
Look at that. Nobody else wanted to touch Metamorphos.
Yeah, I guess they got together again. They loved working on Metamorpho together, and they were apart for a while, and they reunited at like the 1974, I think, San Diego Comic-Con. And they were sitting around just reminiscing, like, hey, we really enjoyed doing that Metamorpho. So they went to D.C. and said, hey, can we do another Metamorpho story? And they said, sure, you can go in the first issue special. And so that's what they did.
Now, in the in-between years, did they happen to work at like Hanna-Barbera or something like that? Because I see a lot of
Ramona Fraden, she has a very cartoony style. And when I told Jank about this book, I said it looks like a Scooby-Doo adventure, basically.
Yeah. And reads like one as well, so.
Yes, it's very much like a Scooby-Doo comic book. So, but Rex Mason, he was an adventurer who worked for wealthy industrialist and inventor Simon Stagg. When Stagg finds out Mason is dating his daughter, Sapphire, he starts to dislike Mason and even plots to have him killed.
Yep.
So
stop them from they keep hanging out even though afterwards. So well, that's nice.
There's a reason for that. Stagg sends Mason to Egypt to recover the Orb of Ra, this old ancient relic. Mm-hmm. And he also sends along his butler and bodyguard, or I guess his chauffeur and bodyguard, or butler, whatever, Java. Ah. Now this Java guy, he looks like a monkey because he's a Neanderthal who Stagg had discovered in some bog somewhere, and he reanimated him through his scientific genius.
Oh.
So Java is a reanimated Neanderthal. So that's something. So he sends Java with Rex Mason to Egypt to recover this Orb of Ra, and it's in this like glowing red pyramid. And they go in to get it. And when they find the relic there, Java says, hey, dummy, I'm taking this back to Stagg. I'm leaving you here. And he conks him over the head and leaves him for dead, trapped inside the pyramid. Because this Java guy, he also likes Sapphire. And Sapphire likes Rex. So if he can get Rex out of the way, he's positive this smoking hot blonde Sapphire will fall in love with him.
Because there are only two available men on the entire planet. The Monkey Man and this Rex guy, obviously.
Yeah. So his plan's a little questionable. But anyway, but I think Stagg told Java to do this. You know, like, hey, get him in there, get the relic, conk him on the head. Then we'll just say he died trying to get the relic or whatever. Cool? Yeah. All right, that's the plan.
You see in Indiana Jones, like it was like that, but he didn't get out. Older guy.
So, of course, Indiana Jones was many years later, but he could see the future. All right. So, in the pyramid, though, Rex Mason, he wakes up and he's like, I got to get out of here. And he's looking around the pyramid. Here he finds this meteorite buried inside the pyramid. And the meteorite is kind of what the Orb of Ra was taken from. It was created from this meteorite. And he started to get woozy and he passed out. And he thought he died, but he woke up and goes, oh, I'm not dead. I'm still alive. How about that? So, but then he walks away from the meteor, though, and he realizes, oh, shoot, I look like a freak now. What has gone on with my body?
Yeah. I've gone past albino into like weird gray territory.
Yeah, he's an interesting looking fellow, this Metamorpho. His face is like white. I think his face is supposed to be like calcium. And like the top left half of his body is like orange and the top right is purple, or maybe it's the other way around. I'm not looking at him right now. And then his legs are different. I think each like quadrant of his body is a different element. supposedly, but I'm not sure which, like maybe cobalt, copper, and some, I don't know. Anyway.
Except he can change into different elements, so why doesn't he just make himself the same?
Well, I think he's just stylish. Yeah. Well,
You never know when like a calcium head's really going to come in handy. You don't want to waste time change it.
But he can't change, like he can only change into whatever elements are found in the human body.
Okay.
But I mean, that's probably most of them.
Turn himself into a human body again? Like, cause he's wearing a plastic mask in this thing at one point where it's like, why can't he make himself look human? He can shapeshift into skin, can't he?
No. Nope, can't do it.
Not the periodic table.
Skin is not an element found on the periodic table. So can't do it. But he can turn into like gas or whatever, you know. So he turned him into like a gas, and he seeped through the
stone, like that looks close enough to human. He can get by.
But he turned into gas, and he seeped his way through the cracks in the pyramid, and he eventually makes his way back to the United States, and he confronts this Simon Stagg fella, and he's really mad. He's going to kill him. But here Stagg holds up the orb of Ra to defend himself, and that is like Metamorpho's kryptonite.
Uh-oh.
It makes him very weak, so he's powerless. And so Stagg says, "Hey, Metamorpho, let's make a deal. All right? I'm sorry, you know, I turned you into a freak and tried to kill you and all that stuff. But if you work for me and help me out with things, I'll try to use my scientific genius to find a cure for your condition, you know? And if you start to get wise with me, I'll just use this, you know, thing, the orb of Ra, to like kill you, you know? So let's just work together. All right? Cool. And so that's what they kind of do. But all his attempted cures for Metamorpho,
like get on an airplane and so he can't find you, and just you won't have to worry about him using the orb on you.
But all the cures that he tries to do on Metamorpho, none of them work, and they're all kind of terrible. So, but also Metamorpho loves Sapphire, you know, and because she's like I guess kind of ditzy, right? But
a little bit.
Very materialistic. I think they describe her as a playgirl in this issue.
Yeah.
So she just likes to have fun, and
Paris Hilton of her day.
Yeah, they're very good. Yeah. So Rex is still in love with her, and she actually still likes Rex, even though he looks like a freak now.
Mm-hmm.
So
good on her.
Yeah. Although I think in the 1960s books, towards the end of the run, let me get to that here first. He appeared in The Brave and the Bold, and then he got his own series from 1965 to 1968, and that ran for 17 issues. And towards the end of that run, she actually married another guy.
Ooh, that hurts. And it wasn't the Monkey Man?
Well, what's that? It wasn't the Monkey Man. It wasn't the Monkey Man. But stick around because we'll come back to that.
Oh.
So, Metamorpho, though, some guy, the guy she married, I can't remember his name, someone murders him. So then Metamorpho is the chief suspect for murdering this guy. But it was actually some evil dude who framed Metamorpho. But I believe Metamorpho was like convicted and like sentenced to death or something. I don't know. It was some weird trial. I don't know what's going on. But like Metamorpho technically can't die, but it can appear like he dies. So like he can go away for a little bit and be dead in quotes, but then he'll always come back. So he went away at the end of that series and he was dead. But
I mean, if you're a guy who can turn into gas, I feel like no prison can hold you.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't understand. I didn't read the story, so I'm vague on some of the details here. But that's the basic premise. But then when Metamorpho came back, they found the real killer and everything, and he was exonerated. And then it sounds like he and Sapphire are on good terms again in this issue. They're like,
they seem to be dating again, so they're kind of on a date, even though they brought the old man and the monkey man along. They're supposed to be going on a romantic sightseeing tour through Washington D.C.
I always used to bring my dad and his monkey butler whenever I went on a date. It was awesome. But anyway, so years later, Metamorpho again died or something, and guess who Sapphire married?
No way, the Monkey Man?
She married the Monkey Man.
His plan worked out after all.
It eventually worked. Because I guess Rex and Sapphire had a kid together. And the kid had inherited Rex's powers, but instead of turning his body into elements, he could turn other things into elements.
Oh, nice.
Just one of them deals.
Into gold.
Yeah, that's right. But then Rex died, or supposedly died, so she was so distraught, and Monkey Man offered to take care of her and the kid. She married the Monkey Man, I guess.
Wow. Ooh, God, the ultimate simp story.
So anyway, after his series ended in 1968, Metamorpho went on to make appearances in the Justice League, Action Comics, and World's Finest Comics. I already talked about Haney and Fraden reuniting at the Comic-Con. And then Metamorpho was a founding member of the Outsiders in 1983. This is not the cool Outsiders with Soda Pop and Pony Boy. And
no one stands in this story.
Yeah.
The Catman, who likes darkness, apparently.
But he was part of the Outsiders, and then he was a member of various Justice League incarnations, including the European branch of Justice League International.
We'll have to do a book at some point. Don't tempt me.
All right, fair enough. He got his own 4-issue limited series in 1993. In 2007, Dan Jurgens did a 6-issue series, Metamorpho Year 1. And get this, Jank, Metamorpho is set to appear in the 2025 Superman movie.
Wow. That thing's overstuffed. I don't know how there's so many characters on that thing.
Why are they still making Superman movies? Are any of them ever good?
Putting it, like, they're redoing the whole thing, but then they're having so many of their superheroes in. It's like, is Superman gonna get any time to shine in his own movie?
I sure hope we get his origin story again. That would be great.
It would. Never can get it enough.
So the creators of Metamorpho, Bob Haney, born 1926 in Philadelphia, died in 2004 at the age of 78. 873 writing credits at DC. He did a lot of Action Comics, The Brave and the Bold, the Teen Titans, and he did all 17 issues of the original Metamorpho series.
Nice.
Have you ever encountered Bob Haney before, Jack?
Nope. Can't say the name sounded at all familiar.
I guess there's some controversy. He says he helped co-create Doom Patrol. And the other guy said, he really didn't. So it was one of those deals. So I don't know.
Was his name even on the book at all, or just like,
I can't remember. So I enjoyed Doom Patrol. Well, I enjoyed the older Doom Patrol. We did the newer Doom Patrol, right?
Yeah, sadly. The Bronze Age Doom Patrol, not as good.
Then the artist Ramona Fraden, one of the few women artists we've encountered in 5 years of this show. I think Marie Severin is the only other one. So, very select company. But get a load of this. She was born in 1926 in Chicago, Illinois, and sadly she passed away in 2024 at the age of 97.
Holy hell.
Yeah, but wait, she had 273 penciling credits at DC. She began working for DC in the 1950s and is most well known for her work on Aquaman and Brenda Starr, as well as for co-creating Metamorpho. She did the first 4 issues of the original Metamorpho series, and she announced her retirement from comics and illustrations on January 5th, 2024 at the age of 97. Sadly, she died of heart failure 1 month later in February. Ooh. How about that, though? Right up until the end, she's still 97, she's still drawing and everything. And then she says, you know what? I'm done. And then bang, she dies a month later.
Seems to be how it goes. You retire and then bam, it hits you. You got nothing to keep going for, I guess.
That's why I'm never stopping doing fake radio.
That's right. You'll be on an iron lung. You'll just listen to your accordion-like sounds.
I'm chasing that dragon. Fake radio. All right. So, I'm guessing you never encountered Ramona Fraden ever before, right?
Nope.
Yeah. I mean, it was a fun, we'll talk about her art later, but yeah, definitely Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, it would feel more like, a Richie Rich comic book, maybe. That's kind of where this belongs. It's not bad, or even Archie, like, something in that vein.
Yeah. Hey, but you know what is bad is the cover. Holy hell, this might be the worst cover we've ever had on the show. But
yeah. This is not a contender for the Flea Award for best cover at all.
Yeah, please describe it for the kids.
All right, so we kind of have like the corner box is just a little circle, and it kind of bleeds into the title there, where it's all one big kind of bulbous test tubey looking thing, where it's got one bulb on one side and then one bulb on the other side, and it says first issue special, the Fabulous Freak returns, and we got the Metamorpho title, which is kind of like it starts a little bit yellow, then goes to orange, then goes to red, and at the bottom it's kind of rocky, I guess, like you would describe it. That's kind of like the more rocky elements, I suppose. And it's the Element Man. And then it's mostly a lot of blue, just a lot of blue sky. And then we got Metamorpho, who has turned himself into, like his lower half has been turned into some kind of weird car. Yeah, not like any car you'd ever see anywhere, because it's very, I don't know, the front's all sunken in and the headlights really jut out weird, and I don't know what's going on there. But he's kind of driving. His wheels are not touching the ground, so he's going so fast that he did a jump, even though it looks like it's on flat land. But okay, whatever. And then we got the Phantom guy that he's fighting in this issue. He's kind of hunched over and holding Sapphire, who is passed out in his arms, and he's kind of glowing like he's all electric or ghostly or something like that. And faintly in the background, you can see that they're in Washington, D.C., because you see the White House and the Washington Monument there. So it gives you an idea where we're going.
Well, I hate to be all, patriotic on you, but I think that's the Capitol. Right?
Oh, I guess so. Yeah, because it's got the dome that we learned so much about here.
That's, the Washington Monument. But yeah, there's like not much going on here. Just a lot of the ground is like black for some reason, and just a lot of blue sky. And that car is so weird. They don't.
Yeah,
like,
you could have just made
how
like.
How do you feel about Metamorpho being able to turn himself into cars and unicycles and bicycles and stuff? I don't like that.
Yeah. I mean, again, he should be able to make himself a human face then, if that's the case.
Yeah.
Like,
you're really hung up on that human face.
If you can make yourself into like a full-on bicycle with moving parts and stuff like that, then why can't you make a face?
Because he's very much like Plastic Man, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't like the idea of turning himself into bicycles and cars.
Yeah, especially since they explained later on like that he's, his carbon dioxide reactions are propelling him or something like that. Then why do you have to look like a car or a jet to do that? Like, you're just shooting out carbon dioxide. You could do that as a dude. Just look at your part.
Do that as a dude. All right, so yeah, not a great cover, but we open it up, and inside the cover, though, Jank, there's a Hostess fruit pie ad.
Oh man, starting off strong here with this ad right away. They're not even hiding it in the middle. They're just like, yep, here it is. Buy the issue for this alone. This one is definitely a step up from the last couple because it actually made sense, which was a nice change. Didn't feel like there were things. Yeah. There's definitely, I have some issues with it, but.
Yeah, I have some questions about Clark Kent and his, what he does at work, but all right, good.
Yeah, and the staff at the Daily Planet, I got a lot of questions about them. So Superman is outside of his own apartment, and he is using his X-ray vision to see what's going on in there. And he's like, my telescopic vision tells me someone's found my spare costumes. And sure enough, here's some Snoopy reporter guy who's wearing the hat with the press ticket in it. He's like, here's a secret spring.
See, I don't think he's at his apartment. He's at the Daily Planet, right?
Oh, that's really stupid for Superman to be doing that.
That's why all the other employees are around then, you know?
Oh, so, yeah, makes more sense. Yeah.
He says he found a secret closet with spare Superman costumes. So I'm like, why is he keeping spare Superman costumes at his workplace?
He wears it under his clothes. It's not like he has to worry about running home. Like, it'd take him 2 seconds if he had to go home and get a new one.
I spilled some chili on my Superman outfit. I need to change.
He did a Kevin from the office and just dumped chili all over.
But yeah, so this press guy's snooping around and he finds his costumes, and then what does he do, Jank?
He's like, hey, a secret closet. Look, Superman's clothes. Could Kent be Superman in disguise? Wait till the boss sees these Superman outfits. Clark Kent will never scoop us again. So I don't know if he works for like a rival newspaper or he's just
he works for them.
Okay,
Yeah,
he's just mad Superman's. Clark Kent's getting all these scoops instead of him.
Yep.
So he calls everybody in. He's like, it says later, right this way, folks. Now just look at what's in Clark Kent's secret closet. And then Superman is there, and Clark Kent, guys, at this point, he's like, he's in for a big surprise, he thinks to himself. And then it opens up, and what's in the closet? No longer any Superman suits. It's just a bunch of apple and cherry and blueberry Hostess pies. Yeah. And the guy's like, what the? And Lois says, it's full of Hostess fruit pies. And then someone's like, I'll take the apple. Cherry for me. Blueberry here. So what's up with these reporters? Like, they're just going into Clark Kent's stuff, he's got the apple pies. Let's take them. These are ours now.
That's right. Well, Clark is there. I think he's a willing, he's letting them have.
Yeah, take one. They're just like, wow, they just rip into them. It's like Black Friday up in here.
Hey, that's just the way the reporters are. Anytime there's free food around, they always got to go for it. But,
so then they're just all sitting around being like, oh, yeah, this is great, and talking about the delicious fruit filling and stuff. And Lois says, well, yeah. Well, Clark,
then,
you may not be...
Perry White fires that guy, though.
Yeah, that's right.
He's like, hey, smart guy, you're fired. And he's like, oh, boss.
I wonder if he even told them that he found Superman suits, because it didn't seem like they were aware. It just says, well, wait till you see what's in this closet. So it seems like they got a bunch of pies out of it, so they should be happy.
Yeah. I know.
Promotion.
He had to build it up. Well, I think he did say that Clark Kent is Superman, right? Because then Lois says, well, Clark, you may not be Superman, but you sure have super taste. And then Clark says, I wonder if a Superman costume would fit me. Yeah, probably, because you look exactly like him except for the glasses.
Yep. And still nobody is any the wiser.
Let me ask you this, Jake. Were you a big Hostess fruit pie guy growing up? Did you eat a lot of fruit pies?
I don't really know.
Yeah, neither did I. I don't think I ever ate it. Well, I had to have eaten a fruit pie at some point in my life. But
I'm sure I had one.
I'll tell you what, though. Looking back on it, I sure wish I'd had a blueberry one. I like blueberries. I'd like to eat that blueberry pie.
The cherry sounds really good, honestly.
Yeah, all right, there you go.
I'll start looking for secret closets at my workplace now.
Yes.
Just full of pies from the 70s.
All right, so we open up. We get to the issue itself, and it's Metamorpho, the Element Man, Washington, D.C., dazzling capital city of the land of the free and the home of the brave, mecca of millions of tourists, including the famed pair who gaze in awe at the marble majesty of a huge statue. And we see Rex and Sapphire looking up at the Lincoln Memorial, and they love Abe Lincoln. And Rex takes a real shot at Jerry Ford here. She's like, "Oh, Rex, isn't he just super? So historical." And then Rex says, "Yes, Saff, baby. Old honest Abe the rail splitter, the greatest prez these United States ever had. Could we use a guy like him nowadays? Take that, Jerry Ford." Yeah, what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, Metamorpho had no idea how bad it was going to get.
Yeah.
You're the people we are running now.
You could have two 80-year-olds competing for the presidency.
Yeah.
So this issue is called The Freak and the $1 Billion Phantom. And again, very much a Scooby-Doo episode because the villain is a ghost.
Yep.
And this Rex Mason, he talks, he's big on the slang and the hip lingo.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad the orb couldn't take that away from him like it did his
Yeah, I was also confused about his face and everything because he's like a handsome fella here with the brown hair and the big sideburns, and he just wants to make out with Sapphire right in front of Abe Lincoln's statue there.
Yeah, she's like, not in front of Abe. She's very demure.
But then they spot there's a cop getting into it with a ghost. And they look over, there's a ghost. And this guy's dressed like, you can't really tell because he's all gray, but he clearly looks like something out of like the 1700s or something, you know? And he's got a top hat.
Got like a little cape, like fancy pants cape, like a superhero cape.
And he has a walking stick and he zaps the cop's gun and like melts the cop's gun. And
turns in hot jello, apparently.
Yeah. And when Rex Mason and Sapphire like corner the guy against the wall, they see like a silhouette of a cat behind him. And then when Metamorpho jumps at him, he disappears, but a cat goes running off. This was weird. Like, why did
Yeah, I don't understand that at all.
Like, he's a ghost. Just have him be a ghost. I don't know. But for some reason, he turns into animals, too. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure where that came from.
So then Rex and Sapphire go running outside to talk to her father, that Simon Stagg guy, and monkey guy, Java. And they're standing outside by a real fancy, like, what's a fancy car? Is this a limo? Is this a limousine? What kind of car would this be?
Studebaker? I don't know.
I don't know. It's a big car. It's got a dollar sign as a hood ornament. It's a big fancy car.
The license plate seems to just say like 1,000. Like it's got a decimal point in it.
Yeah, that is weird. I think they're going for 1 million. I think there's a comma after the one, but it bled together.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So anyway, they tell Stagg, hey, do you see a ghost come out here? Some goofy guy. And he's like, you're pulling my leg. Yeah, there's no such thing. So, he's like, no joke, Staggsy. That character must have escaped from a funny farm, but his sword cane's dangerous. You and Hairy Brains keep watch here. Come on, Saff. And so they go off looking for the ghost. And I think Stagg tells a monkey guy to go follow him, right? He's like, keep track of them. And then they run into some, I guess, war protesters. I guess the Vietnam War is still going on at this point. And there's a big hole opens up in the ground and like some fire starts coming out. So the ghost is the guy doing it. He's causing this thing to happen. And Metamorpho leaps into action, Jank.
Yep. He turns himself into fire foam, a combination of water, sodium, and carbon to smother the flames. Then he turns his one arm into a giant magnesium net to haul these kids back onto terra firma. And then they've noticed that the Washington Monument is also now falling. It's tilting pretty good, and Metamorpho's like, uh-oh, can't allow that. So he turns himself into like a giant steam shovel and just starts throwing clods of dirt at it, trying to shore up the one side so it doesn't tip over.
And we should point out, before he got it and leapt into action there, he ripped off his mask and his clothing. So now he's in his full Metamorpho appearance. And his top left side is purple, top right is orange. Then he's got little underpants on. And then his left leg seems like whitish or silver. And then his right leg is bronze or gold, maybe. I don't know.
So if it's split right down the middle, what do you think that means for his Pepe?
Well, he can make it whatever he wants it to be. You know? No Viagra needed for old Metamorpho.
Oh, solid granite.
Guy's ready to go at a moment's notice. So Sapphire is all happy and she's running and smiling at him. And we should describe what this Simon Stagg guy looks like because he's very distinctive looking.
Yeah, true.
How would you describe his haircut?
Kind of like Beethoven-esque, I guess.
That's not bad.
Like
yeah.
Slicked back white hair on the top that also continues onto the side and he's kind of got it winged out.
Winged out on the sides, definitely. Yeah.
Kind of like Wolverine does in the back, but this is on the side.
And he's also always depicted with big eyes and a lot of like shadowing under the eyes to make him look evil and with big eyebrows. And
emo. He's wearing a lot of guy liner.
And he wears a giant red bow tie and a blue suit. And the monkey guy looks like a monkey guy, and Sapphire is a real foxy blonde. So there you go. All right, so Metamorpho, he's making out with Sapphire there behind him, and but then they notice the Capitol, the dome is spinning on the Capitol, and he's like, uh-oh. So Metamorpho turns himself into a unicycle, and he is wheeling after it, and they're in the limousine chasing after him, Sapphire, Stagg, and Monkey Guy, and yeah, I was looking at Monkey Guy's hat. I guess it has is that a dollar sign on his hat too, or is that an S for Stagg Enterprises, I guess?
Think about branding, I'm sure.
Yeah. So Metamorpho turns himself into hydrogen gas to get me where the action is. That's the other thing about him. He always, whatever he turns into, he makes sure he tells you. So.
Yep. He wants you to know exactly how to beat it.
It's a way for him to teach you about the elements as well. And for some reason, the ghost is just spinning the Capitol dome with his magic cane. I don't know. There's a lot about this that really doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Well, he's got to get in there. We find out later on, so.
But then he just leaves here, though. He zaps Metamorpho, because for some reason Metamorpho decides, I'm safe here as a gas, but let's not be a gas. So he turns solid, and then that guy zaps him with his electrical cane there, and he feels like he's getting struck by lightning. And then it says a special madman 2 centuries dead with power seemingly unlimited. Can Metamorpho prevail in part 2 next? ? Like they don't know it's coming up next. And then you turn the page and boom, it's part 2 right here.
Yeah.
Like I thought there'd be like an interlude or something. Like Mrs. Tree, when she had the 2 broken into parts, there'd be like a couple things in between, like a little
the letters page and stuff like that.
No, it's just like the exact next page. Boom, the story just picks up right where it is. Oh, okay. So why did we split exactly?
That was a bigger thing back then. They always used to have to be like continued after next page or something. They always wanted you to know exactly where the next page was, so you didn't get confused.
But like there isn't even an ad between these things. It's just the very next page. It's part 2. So it's like, oh, all right. But the secret of the Capitol, and we see him getting zapped, and he's getting full of electrical energy, so he turns his leg into like a copper wire, I believe, and sends it up to touch the Capitol dome because it's also lined with whatever. It's cast iron. It drew off and soaked the charge up like a big sponge. There you go. But, and then there's a crow in the background flying away, so that ghost guy's flying away. But why'd the ghost guy fly away? Because he was giving it to Metamorpho pretty good,
Yeah. While he was electrocuting him, he could have just went up there and gotten the thing he needed and got out.
See, that's what I was going to say when we get there. Like he's looking for this weapon we learn later on, this thing he invented or whatever, or he discovered or whatever. And he had hit it in the Capitol dome hundreds of years ago. But why did he have to do any of this? Why couldn't he just? He's a ghost. Why couldn't he just go directly to it and get it and then go about his business? Why did he have to do any of this other stuff?
You drew Metamorpho's attention when you wouldn't have had it if you'd just gone there.
Yes.
Initially.
Like, why attack that cop down below? Why tip over the Washington Monument? Why do all this stuff? Just go get the thing you want. No one's going to know you even exist. You're a ghost. Just go. So.
Why is he only thinking of this now? Like, he's apparently been dead for like 200 years and like.
Well, yeah, we're jumping ahead, but so he always comes out. It's this weapon that, you know what? Let's just wait, and then I'll get to that point.
Yeah.
All right, so Metamorpho jumps down and he turns his feet into SpaghettiOs. It looks like, and he lands down with them, and then Stagg turns on the TV in his limo, and they're talking about the events. Oh, and on the TV they give the background. Oh, look, we're right here. Tourists at the Lincoln Memorial were startled by a ghost who has now and then popped up throughout our nation's history to frighten people. The Phantom first appeared to President Lincoln when the Civil War began. Again, he visited President Woodrow Wilson when America was drawn into World War I. and last was seen by President Franklin Roosevelt the morning of Pearl Harbor as the United States plunged into World War II. The Phantom is just an hallucination. I don't like when people put "and" in front of H words. That's not correct.
Well, no.
Say government authorities, there is no cause for alarm. Just a hallucination. And then Metamorpho says, who they kid, and that poses a deadly menace. But this Stagg says, yes, his powers are most impressive. Did it occur to you, Rex, that together we could control him? See, the Stagg's always working an angle, you know? He thinks, how can I make money off this? But here's my question, though, Jank. If he only appears when before people get into wars, like, why is he appearing now in 1975 when the Vietnam War is right about to end?
Yeah.
Should have been
take it to Ford, and Ford was actually like, yes, so now you have to go get it. Ford's the only one who's like, okay, we're losing this war, we need it.
or is he like, are they hinting that, hey, there's a bigger war coming, you know? So we better, but I don't know. This is all questionable. I don't know what any of this means. All right. So, now we get a lot of ads in a row. They could have used a section break there. But then Metamorpho turns into another bicycle, and he's like the front wheel, and he has Sapphire sitting on his little seat. And they drive off together. And Stagg says, follow them, Java. Report everything to me. Yes, master. Being near Sapphire while tripping up the ugly freak will be a double pleasure. Hey, Java, you're talking to her old man, you know?
Yeah.
You might want to dial down the horny a little bit. Her dad's right there. You're talking to him.
Yeah, this Stagg guy seems to have no problem with the fact that, you know, his daughter could be doing it with an ape man soon.
So they go to Rex and Sapphire go to the National Archives, and he wants to do some research on this ghost. And Sapphire is very bored. She's like, darling, are we going to stay in this dull place just forever? And
yeah, I wanted to see the sights. I wanted fun and games.
Would you like to explain the background of this ghost, Jank?
Oh, sure. So it starts off, and from the time-browned, crumbling parchment, the long-dead past comes alive. Washington, D.C., August 1814. Dr. Destiny, the British are advancing on the city. I must evacuate the government. I have little time. Monsieur President Madison, I can save Washington. I was the military engineer with the great Emperor Napoleon.
I just recorded the Monkey Flip audiobook, Jank. I really should have got you to do it.
You know? I know. When Napoleon invaded Egypt, I explored the hidden tombs of ancient scientists and engineers. I guess more ancient Egypt stuff. Same thing with that orb that created Metamorpho, I guess. So he's like, yeah, I discovered this device. It's like an amazing chemical weapon, and it can destroy the British and save the whole city. And Madison's like, nah, screw that. There's no time to test it before this whole thing starts, so just throw this guy out. And Sapphire's just like combing her hair this whole time, bored as hell. And so Doc Destiny was mad. He's like, the British burned Washington, and, you know, I could have saved it. So he was all pissed off at America, but he keeps coming back to offer all the presidents these things during the times of war, and everybody keeps turning him down. So he's just pissed. And now he's trying to get that weapon back.
Yeah, and he like hid the weapon in a brick in the dome of the Capitol.
Yeah.
Because that's an easy place to hide something. You have to climb up there. I don't know.
Although if you're a ghost, like, you could probably just get in and out. You probably don't even have to lift the thing. Like, you just phase through the wall or whatever. So
yeah, but when he was a human, he had to hide it up there. And did we get to the part where they said how he died? Because he tried to bring it. No, I think they show that later.
Yeah, they show that later. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, different flashback.
A lot of flashbacks.
Yeah, so there's a motorcade outside. The president himself is coming by. They see a weird shadow that has like a snaky shadow, and they're like, oh, it must be him. That's the Phantom. And so then Metamorpho turns himself into a cobalt cobra, and then he like kind of blocks the electric shot that the Phantom is shooting there from his cane. And Phantom turns into snake again, but finally Metamorpho's caught on to like, oh, he turns into animals. Now I get it.
But the Phantom was trying to assassinate Jerry Ford? Or what was?
I guess so.
I don't know.
He's a Chevy guy himself, I guess.
So, speaking of that, I think Bob Haney was the brother-in-law of Chevy Chase's dad.
Oh.
You mentioned Chevy. That made me think of it. But anyway.
Wow. Look at that.
All right, so the ghost turns into a snake and slithers off. So then Metamorpho turns into nitrogen gas, so he can follow the snake down a pipe, and it goes into this underground cavern-like lab. So this ghost has its own lab underground for some reason. And Doc Destiny
hide your secret weapon if you have a secret underground lab that people can't get to, but what do I know?
And he uses some scientific device to charge up his power cane. But again, this guy's a ghost. Why does he need to do any of this? Can a ghost I don't know, whatever. All right, so then Metamorpho notices some picture of the Capitol building, and he sees a circle on the picture, and he's like, oh, that's when they were building the Capitol dome. I bet dollars to Soggy Sinkers he's got the gizmo stashed there because the Capitol was the last thing he hit. Those other attacks were just diversions. But he didn't need diversions when no one knew he was looking for anything. He could have just went there and got the damn thing to begin with.
You're a phantom that shows up to presidents only once every, 20 years. Who's going to be looking for you? Who's going to be expecting that attack?
Metamorpho doesn't even notice that the ghost guy got away when he's looking at that picture and everything. So he picks up Sapphire. He turns himself into a car again, kind of like the one on the cover. And then Jabba the Monkey Man, he pops out of the sewer underground because he had been tracking Metamorpho. And he tells Stagg, hey, Metamorpho, he needs to go to the Capitol. That's where that thing's hidden. And Stagg says, I'll try to trick him. So Stagg calls in, we get to part 3, the Lake of Gold. This is part 3. So Stagg calls in a ghost sighting, and he says it's at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. So some army guys cut off Metamorpho. Because I guess Metamorpho is just like a national hero. Everyone knows who Metamorpho is.
Yeah. He's beloved.
And they're like, hey, Metamorpho, let's go over there. So they go over there to look for the ghost. The ghost isn't there. And he's like, oh, well, I guess it was a big false alarm. All right, guys, got to go. So now when they get to the Capitol dome, though, the ghost is there. And the ghost is looking for his chemical weapon thing. And it's not there. And there's a brick missing. So Stagg, that old man Stagg, was able to get to the Capitol dome faster than the ghost.
Yeah.
And get that thing out of there.
He sure did. He got it. I guess the Monkey Man must have lifted it up because there's no way that old man's doing it. And apparently this guy also has time to blackmail the president and other important people in the government to have them sign off on a document so that he can then go to Fort Knox before Metamorpho gets there, even though he seems to know right away where they're going to, so it should be a straight shot. But yeah, this guy Stagg had a lot of time apparently.
Yeah, because this chemical thing, it can, he wants to go to Fort Knox to get all the gold with this chemical, right? Or what does he want to do?
I mean, he shows up, he goes to Fort Knox. This is sometime later, not far from Louisville, Kentucky, the famous repository of the nation's gold treasure, Fort Knox. And
real quick, before we get there, there's one cool thing. Metamorpho, he needs to make a phone call. He turns his finger into a dime so he can make a phone call.
That's pretty good.
Stealing.
All the way down there and then pulls it back.
Yeah, I guess. But anyway, yeah, so Fort Knox, go ahead.
So there's a trooper there who's like, oh, your pass was signed by the president and the commanding general. And Stagg's like, yes, of course. So I'm assuming he just used the gas to blackmail them into signing this pass.
I don't know. He's a famous guy. He's kind of like the who's that dummy that Elon? He's like the Elon Musk of the. He's real in with the government. So I think maybe he said, hey, can I go look at Fort Knox? I'm like, sure, go ahead.
Okay. But then I don't know what he expected this chemical weapon was going to do other than what it does, which he clearly didn't want. So I don't know.
Yeah, because he's like, feel its wonderful glow. Oh, let me bathe these tired old bones in that life-giving warmth. They're just surrounded by big blocks of gold. And the
gold
monkey
bullet.
man drops the machine, and it ignites, and the gas it emits starts like melting all the gold.
Mm-hmm.
So is that what he wanted to do?
Sure wouldn't make any sense, because how did he expect to get it out of there? Like, what about a gas weapon of any kind would make you think like, oh, this will get me this gold, unless you're like knockout gas, you're gassing all the soldiers and then you can take the gold. But even then, the monkey man can't lift all that gold. I don't know.
So even liquid gold's going to be very heavy. I don't know how you get it out of there. But yeah, so the liquid gold, it creates like a tidal wave of gold, and they have to run out of there. They're about to get buried in it, but old Metamorpho turns himself into like a rocket plane, and he's got Sapphire hanging on his back, and he flies in and rescues them. And then the ghost pops up, and then we get the rest of his story. And would you like to do the accent again?
Sure. So he's riding his horse like Paul Revere there. He's like, "Sacre, the British are here and burning everything. I will unleash my weapon and stop the barbarians. I fought in your general direction." And so he's telling one of the soldiers to like step aside. The soldier's just like, "What the hell? No," and just stabs him with his bayonet right in the stomach.
But even though he's mortally wounded, he climbs up the Capitol and hides that weapon in the dome.
Yeah. Who knew the Capitol building dome was so easily accessible by old men and people that are on their deathbed? And he says, "I die, but though hellish flames consume me, I swear to return and haunt this ungrateful city for eternity."
Yeah, and that's exactly what you've been doing, haunting our one president after the other, hoping to sell them on using your gizmo to fight Uncle Sam's enemies.
I mean, I guess that's a benevolent ghost. Like, I would be like,
yeah.
You think he'd be
so
like,
why was he like causing so much trouble though? Like, why was he tipping over things, trying to I don't get it. I don't understand any of this.
No, the motivations don't make any sense.
So he's like, so then he descends into the lake of gold to retrieve my device. But Metamorpho says, "No way, chum, because I'm taking the 24-karat plunge too." And they both jump into molten gold.
Sure do.
And Sapphire calls Stagg Daddykins. And like, Daddykins, Rex he'll be destroyed. Hey, daughter. It's as if all the demons of hell were warring down there amidst all that beautiful gold. And then Monkey Man is thinking to himself, at last, that human monstrosity has met his Waterloo, and Sapphire will then quench her grief in my waiting embrace.
Oh, this Monkey Man.
I like this next panel. The look on Stagg's face and Sapphire and Monkey Man in the background. And Monkey Man's like, "He's dead, haha, I can feel it in my ancient bones." But good old Metamorpho. Yeah, he comes flying out of the gold, and then he I don't know, but as the weird mass of congealed bullion shakes and shudders, boom, he pops into Metamorpho. And
he tells what happens, like, oh, she says, "Oh, darling, I was so worried," and he says, "So was I, until I remembered oxygen is highly explosive, and that congealing gold had just enough heat left in it to trigger a liberating blow-up."
That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. I don't know.
He was covered in molten gold, so a little oxygen blew gold off him?
Yeah. I guess the heat and the oxygen must have caused an explosion that shot him back up, is what I'm thinking.
I guess. I have no idea.
you would need a lot of oxygen, like a concentrated dose of oxygen, I would think. Like normal air, you don't just light a match and it explodes. You'd need like an oxygen tank.
But the gold solidifies in this crater, so there's like a lake of gold. And he's like, Doc Destiny and his gizmo are gone. Something in the gold, I guess, dissolved them both.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what may have dissolved them? The molten gold. That's probably what dissolved them. But he's a ghost. How is that going to bother him at all? He's a ghost.
Yeah. I don't remember them using that in any of the Ghostbusters movies. Like, hey, let's melt down metal and dump it on the ghost. Like, I don't think that would work.
And so the army's on the way to reclaim the gold. Well, good luck. What are they going to do? Dig it out of the ground and chip it into blocks? What are we doing?
Yeah.
So later in a capital city restored, and
kid is born, and then the kid can come back and like get something more movable, and then change it back to gold.
Later in a capital city restored and serene once more, 77 years ago, our fathers founded upon this continent. How's that for quoting, doll? And she says, "Oh, Rex, now this is what I call a real guided tour, tee-hee," because he's carrying her around, and look, he turns his face into Abe Lincoln.
Yeah.
So this goes back to what you were saying all along. Why can't he just turn his face?
Exactly. None of this makes any sense. I didn't think about this for 1 second.
And then we get a little panel of Metamorpho, like you mentioned earlier. He says, "Metamaniacs. The merely marvelous Element Man will return again. If you want me to, let us know." And he's peeking around the corner, waving at you. In the end. So, and then we get a story, Metamorpho, the Element Man, or the making of Metamorpho, the Element Man. And Bob Haney, did you read this?
I skimmed it. I didn't really.
Yeah, there's nothing too interesting.
We go over most of it, so.
Yeah. So, all right. What are your thoughts on, well, first of all, the writing in this issue? It's just a mess. I don't know what's going on.
It really is. I did like the dialogue, though. The dialogue was weird and goofy and just full of slang that hasn't been used in probably
49 years. I like it. I like the dialogue and the characterizations and stuff, but the structure and the plot was just a train wreck. There's nothing working here at all.
Yeah. Yeah, from a bad comic perspective, though, it's kind of what you're looking for, where it's just like, this is dumb, but it's fun, like dumb kind of fun.
Yeah. I like Sapphire a lot.
Yeah. She just wanted to have a good time. Get dragged on all these stupid adventures.
Metamorpho seems kind of cool, but I don't like the bicycles and the rocket ships and the cars and shit. I just wish like he could only manipulate his body, like turn it into elements or dissolve into gas, and that's it. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, complex machinery. Yeah.
Yeah. So I like Stagg. He has an interesting look, and even the Monkey Man. I mean, that's quite the concept. The reanimated Neanderthal as your chauffeur and butler, bodyguard. So,
you know,
I like the premise.
Who was that we had? You had the same issue, I think, in that Iron Man issue. Like somebody turned himself into like a jet ski or something like that. And you were what is this bullshit?
That was it wasn't Hydro Man, but it was like a water guy, and he made a water jet ski out of like water.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's like, what? Can't remember what his name exactly was, but yeah. So yeah, the writing, it's a mixed bag. The art, we mentioned, it's very cartoony, very Scooby-Doo.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun though, you know?
Yeah, for this kind of goofy story, it's fitting. I can't say that it doesn't work here.
Yeah, and she did a good job. You're either going to like the style or you're not, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, this whole thing felt very much like an old cartoon show. Even with the old, like the dad and the monkey man, like this cast of characters is very Saturday morning.
Yeah, I think they had a cartoon in development back in the 60s, and then, like something, the network then was able to get the rights to Batman instead or Superman instead, so they just did that. Like a Superman cartoon. But,
Back of the line.
Poor Metamorpho. But I like like his whole background about going to Egypt and then meteorite and everything. Like, I had no idea anything. This Egypt is a happening place. It gave us Moon Knight. It gave us Metamorpho.
Yeah.
Probably a bunch of other guys too. But so, how do you feel about his backstory and everything?
It's not what I was expecting, I suppose.
Yeah, like if you had to guess, like I would have thought, oh, he's a scientist and there's a mix-up at the lab. You know, one of them deals.
Like a Flash type thing. Yep, some chemicals spilled on him and.
Yeah. So I don't know. I kind of like Metamorpho, but this book isn't exactly what I expected.
No, not at all. I would say that's you're dead nuts right on.
So I don't know. Where do you weigh on first issue special number 3 with Metamorpho, Jank? 1 out of 10.
Ooh, on a bad comic scale, I'll give it a solid 7.
Whoa!
Like, it's not good, but it's enjoyably terrible. I'll give it that.
That's fair.
Like Deathstalker 2 of terrible comics.
But Monique Gabrielle, though, was in Deathstalker 2, right?
Yeah.
So.
Well, we got Sapphire here.
That is true. I'll go 6 out of 10. Again, a slight thumbs up because it was fun, but not quite as enthusiastic about it as you were.
Okay, fair enough. I'll take it.
I just think, like I said, I kind of like Metamorpho, but I think I would like a more serious take on Metamorpho.
Yes.
So maybe I'll read that Dan Jurgens Metamorpho Year 1 and see how he handles things.
Yeah, I think a modern take would be a little bit, more welcome.
Yes, very much so.
There's definitely potential with the character, for sure.
All right, so that's first issue special number 3 with Metamorpho. What do you got for us next week, Jack?
Okay, well, I had a couple of things in mind, but seeing as our next recording is going to be shortly before Deadpool versus Wolverine comes out, and an episode should be coming out probably just shortly after the movie releases. But clearly Deadpool wasn't created till the 90s, so I couldn't really pick a Deadpool issue or anything related to Deadpool. So what I decided to do was, this book's kind of been on my list for a while. This was a character who there's definitely some similarities with Deadpool, and I think they did try to make him like kind of Deadpool's arch nemesis for a while during the Jerry Duggan run recently. And I've always wanted to kind of look more into his earlier appearances, see what was going on there. So I'm going to pick a Madcap issue.
I was going to guess Madcap, because when you said it seems like, I'm like, in my head, I'm like, oh, Madcap. I bet Madcap.
Yep. So we're going Captain America, number 309.
Captain America 309. Do you know what year this is?
I think it's 1985.
All right, that's a good time.
Looks like it's mostly Captain America's kind of only briefly in it. It's a lot of that Nomad guy.
Oh, yeah, this is the Nomad time.
Yeah.
Yeah, Madcap was a goofy villain. He was just kind of like very crazy and goofy and
very insane, and I think very hard to like harm in any meaningful way. So, yeah, I feel like they could have made him Deadpool if they wanted to. They'd given him a better backstory and stuff like that, I guess.
All right, yeah, we've never talked any Madcap on here, so that'll be next week. Captain America. I love Captain America, so anytime we get Captain America, I'm happy. Even though it's mostly Nomad apparently, but that's okay.
Yeah, we haven't talked about Nomad either, so
no,
that'll be good.
So, yep. All right, so that's next week here on the big show, Captain America 309. And until then, I was going to say until then, do the catchphrase. But no, first we got to remind everybody, go to YouTube, like and subscribe. We appreciate the support, and buy a monkey flip. So until next week, don't get any jank on you.